All right, so we are back, and I'm here to kind of remind people on things to do to be successful, maybe some tips and tricks, and we got like what 4 GPs left roughly. I think it's going to be May 4th time frame that the new season starts. I'm looking at the calendar here. Yeah, maybe the 4th, 5th. Could be the 7th, but this current season will shut down probably around the 4th or 5th, is my guess, if they've done the same thing they have the last few times. So, um, I just wanted to cover a few things, especially for the newer folks. You notice all my crates are full. You notice that I'm up here as soon as it opens up, if it opens up. But I'm at 90.66 and it's in deep thought. So, what you want to do is if you have the upgrades, if you have the coins, if you have um, the drivers that you can level up, go ahead and level them up because for whatever reason now, there we go. Like I said, deep thought. You want to go up as high as you can in this. Now, my account is pretty much free to play. I did splurge a couple weekends when I worked overtime, but primarily I do pit pass and that's it. So I made it to the 90% point where I get 450 cc points, a crate, and then the big one, 50% crate time for 60 days. And then it just goes up um, as you reach 100%. But I think pretty much this is probably a good spot for free to play to shoot for. It's obtainable. Um, and if y'all have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out in the comments and I will get with you on how that all breaks down and then CC points you're going to use for the 25 season. Um, the other thing that I'm seeing, which I'm totally enjoying because I'm able to upgrade really, really quick, two things is if you go over here to the market, you're going to see this area. Now, this has 90 mil, but I spent up to, I think it started out on this one like 18 mil and then like 20 or 26 mil and then 90. They also have uh, one coin and you can get 5 crates. It's been going on for the last few days where they've really been pushing what I consider the cheap crates. Cheap for me, so I'm going to do it. Uh, so every morning or daily check and open these crates. It's worth it. Now the ones that are big bucks or anything, pretty much you want to save your bucks at this point in the season. For next season, they'll turn into those CC points. So just save your bucks, save your boosts as much as you can, but open up those crates if you got a couple bucks. Like I said, most of these crates are going to be like $1, and then anywhere from I think 10,000 on up. So whatever you can afford, I'd recommend it. The other thing to pay attention to is when you go and you're racing whatever series you're racing. So let's go down here where I haven't been in a long while. Uh, so Series 7, look at these and pay attention to them, like overtaking and power unit, defending power unit. I'm waiting for the next one to roll into. There we go. Race start power unit. This is the power unit series. So you want to go. and max out whatever type of track or series it's in. So get your power set up, and then find a good balance that has overtake and race start for your drivers. Um, this is a speed series, so you want your speed maxed out. Now the other one that I try to do is um, qualifying. So max out my speed and then bump it a little bit so I can get somewhere over 100% on the qualifying. So we will go back and I'll show you what my setup is for Series 11. I have overtaking and qualifying pretty much is what I'm looking at on those. And then, as you can see, I have power unit, and then my qualifying is the next higher. And if you go back over to Series 11, power unit, overtaking, power unit, defending. So all these are going to be power unit tracks. So I've set mine up, and I can pretty muchly, I probably have like a 90-95% win rate off that setup. So Series 12 is cornering. I think it's a mix actually, but this Hungary's cornering, Italy is speed, Monaco cornering, of course, and then you have a power unit. So if you go back and look at my Series 12 setup, it's going to be split between speed and cornering, and then once again qualifying. And then my drivers are going to be the ones that I rarely race against. I think a lot of players are going for the names versus what their skill is. So I see Hamilton and Max pretty much every series. Duels, GPs, sprints, which in certain instances is probably a good decision, but not for every track, every type of race. So, like I said, I'm loving it because folks are kind of starting to give up. It's starting to get a little stale. That's the time you need to get out there and you need to try to get to legend because that is where you're going to get the most points for that constructor series. If you're down in here, there's still time to move up and don't give up racing. Um, Wherever you're at, you want to stay there or move up. Um, it will help you next season. All right, so I have 7 hours for this premium crate to unlock, and then a few others. I always want to try to keep um, crates full, especially if I had a timer, 50% timer for my crates. I don't have any right now. And then the other thing I try to do is keep up. I do premium and free, but if you just want to do free, that's fine. But just try to get those trophies and get down. So right now, I'm working on uh, level 32. So we got 4 days left. So I'm not real behind, but I know my weekend's going to be busy. So um, let's just go ahead and see what we can do in Series 12. You're going to have 3 trophies you can get. If you lose, you still get one. And it's a good chunk of change. So I've been kind of hit and miss, but I've been using free boosts primarily because I want to keep my premium boosts for next season. And I have been, knock on wood, I've been doing pretty well with those that have the 1500 series score because they don't have the right setup or the right pit strategy. So here's Monaco. It's going to be a corner track. I typically use ballast and downforce for my duels. I will use premiums for the GP. So we didn't qualify real well. Not a surprise. We're going to go 4 4s and ballast and downforce. As you can see real quick there, I don't have a whole lot of premium boosts left, which is typical this time of the season. So hopefully we'll do well this weekend at the GP and get some more. So we're going to go ahead and push through. I do Monaco slightly different, and then especially racing against someone with a 1500 score, I'm going to push a little longer than normal just to try and maintain where they're at. And they're probably using softs and hards, right? Softs and mediums. There's no way that we could do the softs. We could do maybe soft hard, but it's not my gig. Just not comfortable with it. So we're going to have to be pretty creative on this one if we want to do well. Of course, the bots are going to all push on lap 2. And if you race Monaco enough, you know that there's no easy way to pass. So we're just going to go ahead, try to build up our power unit a little bit here. We know that Norris will be pitting sooner than we will. And I've seen lately some go medium on that pit stop, some go to hard. But you always want to pass on the turns, on the corners, not the straights. So you're just wasting power unit. So we're still kind of have pretty close to the rival. We'll get ahead of Norris here. But of course, they'll get ahead of us when we go pit this time around. But we might be able to get a little bit of distance. And then Leclerc will, well, he's on medium, so he'll pit with us. I was thinking he was on hards. So Norris did go to hards. So if we can stay ahead of him, or at least close to him, we'll be all right. But this is going to be a real tough one to try to win. And on duels, for those of you who are fairly new, you don't have to win the race. You just have to be ahead of your rivals. And sometimes that only takes one of your drivers. Sometimes it takes both. It depends on what positions you're in. So they both went to hards. That might give us an advantage, except for I'm sure their power unit and speed is much higher than ours. But don't ever give up. I don't know how many races I've won by the finish line. So we're getting around fairly well, but they are too. All right, we're coming up on the final lap. And our Leclerc has done well trying to catch up. We might just irritate them by splitting and maybe get ninth and they get 10th, but it'll be awful close. I don't think we don't have enough to do it. So, but it would have been fun to try and have that happen. All right, so we can see what his setup was. I'm not sure why we're still racing. There we go. All right, so he had higher level drivers and higher level components. So yeah, that was no big shock there. All right, so we'll back out of here, go back in, see if we get a different track. We can only hope. And someone that's a little closer to us team score. It went horrible. 1624. Wow. So we may have to call this a bust. I'm watching our hurricane tornado warnings and watches we have around here right now. Yeah, my matchmaking is horrible. But at least we don't have Monaco, so let's see. We'll go ahead and try downforce for both. 5 minutes dry, then it'll go on the rain. And that's another thing if you weren't aware of. If there's rain coming up, pay attention to the timer or the percentage timer because you don't want to wait too late to go to wets and you don't want to do it too early. So what you want to do is time it where you're putting on your wets around 10-12%, and then by the time it hits about 18 or 20 you should be good to go. So here we are. You can see on this particular track we're doing much better even though the team score is much higher. And we'll see how the rest of the race goes, but so far it's looking pretty good. I don't really expect to be ahead of both drivers, but both my drivers being ahead of both their drivers. But if that happens, that'd be fantastic. They are on hards and mediums, so their Verstappen will be uh, pitting with us. And you see by me pushing through the turn that we were still able to stay ahead of Max, even though they have a you know higher team score. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and we'll pit both. Now there, Hamilton will be passing us possibly, as it takes forever to get out of this pit lane on this track. See how it slows down? That's all right because he'll be pitting, and Max is pitting with us, and we got out of the pits quicker, and we've already caught up with Hamilton and flown by him. And that's what needs to happen. So we don't have any power unit built up. Now see he's coming out now. We're going to go well ahead of the others that are pitting, and we're right behind the rival, and we're still leading, even though he's 100 and some odd points ahead of his team score. And I'm just going to go ahead and kind of baby the power unit here, try to build up. As long as I stay ahead of Max and Hamilton, I'm good. And here we are on the last lap. And we'll go ahead and push past those in the pits. And then I'm going to go ahead, not that I have to, but I'm going to go ahead and get around P3, hopefully. I'm going to try. There we go. So we got P1 and P3. Rival gets P2 and P9, maybe P10. And there's a tornado. I'm not sure where. I can't tell. I'm seeing it on the ground. I think it's in Arkansas. All right, so let's see how his setup was. His drivers much better than mine. Behemoth, he had 2 levels higher on Beat, one on Cyclone, one on Nemesis. He used Reactor versus Arc, and he used Powerhouse versus Mach 3. So nowhere for Series 12 is there a power unit track, and his qualifying was higher up. So that's the difference where my cornering and speed were higher than his. So great example. Once again, 1624 and we had 1485. So glad he did what he did for a good textbook way of not doing it or doing it, however you want to look at it. All right. So we got a little higher up. I have a coin surge, 6 hours worth. So that's probably going to be a Sunday thing because I'll have opening round tomorrow, and then I got to go to work. But Sunday, I'll be racing crazy, just building up my coins because I want to be able to uh, max out some more. Um, and speaking of maxing out some more, I'm just full of tidbits today. Maybe it's because I had way too much coffee. Uh, but as you can see, I have various ones maxed out for drivers and various ones maxed out for components. The great thing about that is, if you're not aware of it, is this asset trading. So I have to wait 8 hours, and it doesn't give me the breakdowns. I can't ever remember what the breakdown is. I think it's 1,000 common, and then um, something like six for epics. I can't remember what rares are. Uh, but basically, if you have maxed out plus whatever number of extra cards, you can trade. And then I've been able to max out about 6 or 7 um, drivers in the last 3 or 4 days because I've maxed out plus. And so that's what you want to do. Next season, um, I'm probably going to stay in the lower levels a lot longer than I did this season, and but not as much as I did the first season. Just because I want to go ahead and try to max out as soon as I can my commons, and then work my way up. So it's going to be a long haul, but I think it'll be worthwhile in the end. I'm going to do the long race versus the short races. So let me know what level you're in. Please hit that like button. Ask any questions you may have. Um, I have a lot of good people I watch as well that do this. I've learned from them over the years, um, but I've learned a lot and learned kind of the way I do things, which is slightly different. So hit that like button. Please subscribe. It helps my channel. And y'all have a great race weekend.